everyone, you're welcome back to the channel, and it's beautiful to have you back on our channel. Today we're going to be discussing about angiosperms. So we're going to be discussing about some of the structures and features of the plants that we refer to as angiosperms. Now it's important to note that angiosperms are a bit different from our gymnosperms because angiosperms have seeds, and those seeds are covered. They are not naked seeds, they are covered in structures that we call fruits. So this is important to note. Now, our angiosperms are referred to as flowering plants, and they are referred to as flowering plants because obviously they produce flowers. They produce brightly colored flowers, and these flowers are important because these flowers are able to attract insects of different types to come and pollinate the plant. And this is very important. And according to science, angiosperms have evolved over the years such that the colors of their flowers continue to remain bright and brighter so that they are attractive. Now, the word angiosperm is a word that has a Greek root. It's from Greek, this word, and it means a flower that contains a vessel. A flower that contains a vessel, and the vessel is carrying seeds. Now, this is important for us to note. So, when we look at angiosperms, angiosperms are flowers that they are plants that have very diverse groups and families and species. In fact, roughly, the angiosperms have about 64 orders. When you are classifying the organisms on the basis of kingdom, phylum, class, order, you have about 64 orders to which the angiosperms have, they are a part, all the 64 others make up the angiosperms. And then we have 416 families, 416 families of organisms, all within the angiosperms. And we have 13,000 known genera or genus, and as much as 300,000 species of different plants that come together and are all under the group that we refer to as the angiosperms. And this makes the angiosperms very important. Now, the angiosperms are involved in fertilization. Fertilization occurs for the angiosperm, and so there is a union between the female gametes and the male gametes. There is a union, and the union produces an embryo. So they are reproductive plants, and not only are they reproductive plants, they are sexually reproductive plants, because we know that when it comes to plant reproduction, you can have asexual reproduction, you can have sexual reproduction. But for our angiosperms, they engage in sexual reproduction. Now, we would have other videos where we discuss a lot of the reproductive structures, but for this one, let's start with talking about the male reproductive structure of um the the male reproductive structure of the angiosperms. Now, the male reproductive structure of the angiosperms are called your androecium. For the female, we call it gymnasium. So the androecium, we are talking about the male reproductive part of this group of the angiosperm. And the male reproductive part, we have what we refer to as the stamens. And on the stamens, you have anther. And this anther carries what we refer to as the pollen grains. And these pollen grains are important because they are carrying gametes, sexual male gametes. And this is important because when a flower wants to reproduce, when an angiosperm wants to reproduce, is one of two things that happens. You can either have what we call self-pollination or cross-pollination. Now, if the same flower, on the same flower, you have reproduction or pollination occurring on the same flower, we refer to that as self-pollination. And if it is different flowers, you have flower A pollinating or reproducing with flower B, we refer to that as cross pollination. Now, this is important because the male gamete, which is the pollen grain, is able to move from the male organ, which is the stamen, and find its way to the stigma, which is the female organ of the plant. This is important to know. And this transference or this reproduction, is helped by elements of weather such as wind and air and water. Also, insects play a role. So when insects, go to take from the nectar of plants, many a times the pollen grain is light, is hairy, and is able to stick to, the legs and the body of insects that come to drink of the nectar of these plants. and then these insects are able to transfer this pollen grain from either the same plant, from the anther of the same plant to the stigma on the same plant, or to the stigma on a different plant. This is important for us to know. And so we round off by saying that the pollen grain are the male gametes, the male gametes of the um, male gametes of the angiosperms, and it's important that these, come into union with the female gamete, and then you have the production of what you call the embryo within the plant, which also grows and is covered by the fruit. Now we'll do a further video to talk about the female reproductive organs of plants, and then how reproduction actually takes place in plants. Thank you for listening. Have a beautiful day.